Hey everybody, it's Katie, and today I want to talk about the experience of fearing your own greatness or your own potential. I want to talk about this today because this is something that has been up for me a lot lately as I'm taking a closer look at some of my tendencies to sabotage myself. Now, I think it's almost human nature to sabotage ourselves. We all just do it to varying degrees. Whether, you're procrastinating, putting off a project, that's a minor form of self-sabotage, or, like the experience I have and many of you have had going really deep into an alcohol addiction and using the alcohol and that dependence as a way to perpetually self-sabotage yourself when consciously you want to get out of it, you want to be better, you want to live better, but the alcohol kind of sucks you back in and keeps you allured through this experience that is just a continual experience of self-sabotage. And I'm realizing lately, even though I'm 6 months sober now, thanks to the Sinclair Method, there are times pretty regularly still where I notice that I sabotage myself with many different ways. You name it, it's just different ways to sabotage, whether it's through overuse of technology or social media so that I just feel down or depressed, or watching something negative on TV, or eating things that are really unhealthfully and not making me feel well, or so many different ways, even just thought patterns that are destructive that I allow to keep going on in my mind. Procrastinating, as I mentioned, putting off projects that I really want to do, but I just don't do it, and it makes me feel unhappy that I still haven't done it. So there's so many degrees of self-sabotage, and addiction is an extreme degree. And I wanted to add too that with the Sinclair Method, I hear from people a lot who are sabotaging themselves and they don't know why. They have the medication, they see that it's working, but then they stop taking the medication, or they don't wait the full hour, or they're drinking through it when they have that off signal come in, they're still drinking beyond it, or they're drinking too quickly, drinking a bunch of hard alcohol. All these different ways you can still sabotage yourself even though you've made that step to get help. You're getting on the Sinclair Method, you're taking the initiative, but you're still caught up in this self-sabotage because you're stepping more into your greatness. You're stepping more into the unknown. For so many of us, we've identified with alcohol for years or decades, and so when that starts to be lifted or removed, it's like, oh no, I don't know who I am without alcohol. And so it's easy to fall back into the self-sabotage. But there are other ways that I notice that I do this as well. And I'm getting to the point where I'm understanding it is because I'm afraid of my own potential and my own greatness. Now, why am I afraid of that? I'm realizing because that comes with a great responsibility. When you, for me, I wake up sober every day. I feel great. I feel alive. I'm ready to take on the day. And when you feel that clear and you're showing up in life so much, it can be sometimes overwhelming. Sometimes I just want to numb out and not have this experience because the responsibility of it is so intense and overwhelming, especially if it's not grounded in a good self-care practice, a daily routine where you're taking care of yourself, where you're centered in yourself and you know who you are. So I just want to kind of speak to this today briefly to raise this awareness for you all to understand that, I think as humans, it's our nature. We all self-sabotage to varying degrees. And for me, understanding that this is really rooted in fear. This is my tendency to self-sabotage, is me being fearful of what I might become, of my potential, because there's fear of failure, there's fear of success, because even with success comes judgment or ridicule or things from other people. So it's easy to kind of live a life that is more passive and you're just kind of getting by. It feels mediocre. One teacher I really appreciate, Michael Bernard Beckwith, he always says mediocrity will always attack excellence. So there have been times in my life where I feel like I'm really excelling and I'm someone who really seeks approval from others, something I'm working on to not depend on that so much. But where I'm really excelling and I get ridicule or judgment or negative kind of feedback from others because most people are living mediocre lives. We're just kind of passively existing, going to a job 9 to 5 for the paycheck, not really checking in with ourselves to understand our greatest potential. What gifts are we here to bring to the world? We all have unique gifts, unique skills, unique talents to offer. And so many of us, myself included, are just kind of passively going through life trying to get by rather than plug into what our potential is. And for me, that's something I'm definitely working on. And I just notice how scary it is, this rawness of sobriety, this clarity, it can be intimidating, and I can feel fear around it, because as I said, it's just anything is possible when you feel this way, and it's this great responsibility you have to yourself and to humanity to live your life the greatest possible way that you can. And that responsibility, especially if it's something you haven't been going toward or practicing, it can feel really scary, because it's unknown, because it's territory you haven't forged before, because there's things that you've never experienced, and it's really easy for us to get stuck in this comfort zone of what we know, who we think we are, the things we do in our day-to-day life, and it's really challenging to break out of that and start a new habit, start telling new narrative for yourself, start becoming the person you really want to be. It's much easier to stay complacent, but what I've been experiencing lately is complacency causes me to feel so unhappy and miserable in life. And I think when I was dependent on alcohol for so long and just so extremely numbed out, it was much easier for me to be complacent. I mean, yeah, I would be, feeling misery, I'd be feeling, lack of joy and fulfillment in my life, but alcohol was always there to kind of numb it out. And so now that the alcohol isn't there, I see other ways that I'm numbing myself out, through food, social media, TV, or whatever, thought patterns, because this feeling of the clarity and the richness that comes from sobriety, it's just scary because it's unknown territory. And so I guess the whole point of this video is to really invite you all to consider in your life how you're self-sabotaging yourself. And when you really understand that the root of that is fear, that then offers you the opportunity to deconstruct that fear, to look at that fear directly in the eye, to understand it, to know that it's a false fear. It's not based in anything concrete. It's simply fear of the unknown. And when you push beyond that fear and you start with just day by day little practices of shifting yourself, of creating new habits, of being better, of, not procrastinating anymore, getting a meditation practice in place every day, tuning in with yourself every day, first thing in the morning, so that you feel grounded in who you are, you feel confident and ready to take on the day, rather than just checking your phone right away or, distracting yourself right away. Taking that time to get centered in yourself, it helps to keep you grounded, and it helps to better navigate that feeling of fear. Fear becomes less of this daunting thing that is controlling you from the outside, but more of something you can see, you can feel, you can experience, but you begin to take it less seriously, and you begin to see that it's not real, and see that it's just the mind and society limiting you to really live a mediocre life when your potential is to be absolutely great. Look at the people in the world who you admire who are great. It's because they have time and time again, day after day, moment after moment, leaned into that fear, seen it for what it is, and done whatever they could anyway. They've stopped procrastinating, they've stopped or greatly diminished their ability to self-sabotage, and just are living their authentic, true self and living their own greatness, whatever it means for them. I believe we all have our own greatness within us, our own potential, our own mission, our own thing to plug into in life, where we're here to serve and be in this life to help others and help ourselves grow and evolve. So just a little tidbit rant today on my experience of self-sabotage and deconstructing the fear that is the root of self-sabotage, and how I notice, even with alcohol out of my life, which was the greatest way I was sabotaging myself for about a decade, still these tendencies to self-sabotage, because I'm clear now, I'm sober now, and I get afraid of what my potential and possibility is. So just wanted to share this with you all today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.